We're diving into the incredible world of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that could be worth as much as $1.5 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.5 million. Now, before you start frantically shaking every piggy bank in your house, let's take a deep breath, sip some coffee, and uncover why this humble little penny has collectors practically drooling. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll look at pennies in a whole new way. And who knows? Maybe your couch cushions are hiding a fortune. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let's explore the story, the secrets, and yes, the shocking value of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Let's start with the basics. The 1988 Lincoln penny was minted in Philadelphia. Most of these pennies have a mint mark, a tiny P or D, telling you where they were struck. But the no-mint mark version? That's the rare gem. Think of it like the VIP pass of pennies. Everyone has the regular coins, but only a select few get the no-mint mark edition. Now, you might be wondering, why does a missing mint mark make this coin so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity and collector demand. In the world of coins, small mistakes or unusual variations can skyrocket value. And this penny checks both boxes. Only a limited number were accidentally minted without the mint mark, making it a collector's dream. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The 1988 no-mint mark penny is made of copper, not zinc-coated steel like some of the later pennies, which adds to its charm. Copper ages beautifully, developing a rich patina over the years. That means if you find one that's been sitting in a drawer for decades, it could look almost like a tiny, shiny work of art. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, a friend of mine, let's call him Joe, was digging through his childhood coin collection. He was about to toss a handful of pennies into a roll to go to the bank when one of them caught his eye. It was a 1988 penny with no mint mark. Joe didn't believe it at first. He thought it was just a regular penny. But after a little research, and a few calls to coin dealers, he discovered it could fetch up to $1.5 million on the market. Yes, million with an M. Joe nearly fell off his chair. His next move? He framed the penny. Not in a cheap frame either. He went full gallery style. And you know what? That penny isn't just money, it's a story, a conversation starter, and a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But here's the kicker, finding one isn't easy. These coins were accidental. They weren't meant to exist. That's why collectors are willing to pay top dollar. And if you're hunting for one, the key is to examine every 1988 penny you come across. Look closely at the area near Lincoln's bust, the words, "In God We Trust," and the date. Experts often look for subtle differences in the minting that signal a no-mint mark coin. Now, let's talk numbers. The current market value for a top-condition 1988 no-mint mark penny is around $1.5 million. That's not a typo. $1 million. And these prices have been confirmed through auctions and private sales. Even a coin in slightly less than perfect condition can fetch tens of thousands. So, even if you're just curious, every penny could be hiding a fortune. Unlike some coins that are valuable just for their age, this penny's value is driven purely by its rarity and collector obsession. People aren't buying it because it's from 1988. They're buying it because it's a coin that shouldn't exist. And that element of, "How did this happen?" is what makes coin collecting so addictive. It's like hunting for hidden treasures in plain sight. Alright, let's inject a little humor here. Imagine this, you're at a grocery store, buying a pack of gum. You reach into your pocket and grab some change. You drop it on the counter, and the cashier gives you a weird look. Why? Because you just handed them a coin that could pay for everyone's groceries in the entire store, and they don't even know it. That's the magic of coins like this. They look ordinary, but they're extraordinary. Now, for those of you who are serious about coin collecting, here's a strategy. First, don't clean your coins. I repeat, never clean a coin, no matter how grimy it looks. Scrubbing or polishing can actually destroy its value. Collectors love the natural patina, the story told by age and use. Second, invest in proper storage. Keep coins in holders, away from sunlight and humidity. And finally, keep a keen eye on circulation pennies from 1988. You never know when one might slip through your fingers and into your hands. I also want to touch on the emotional side of this. Collecting coins isn't just about money. It's about history, nostalgia, and the thrill of the hunt. Holding a coin that's decades old, knowing it survived countless pockets, drawers, and cash registers, is a feeling that's hard to describe. And when it turns out to be worth $1.5 million? Well, that's just the cherry on top. Before we move to the conclusion, let me leave you with a little tip from my own experience. I once found an old coin under my couch that I thought was worthless. Turns out, it wasn't quite a 1988 no-mint mark penny, but it taught me a valuable lesson: always look twice. Coins, no matter how small, often hold big surprises. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a piece of copper. It's a rare, accidental treasure that could change someone's life. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who occasionally checks the couch cushions for spare change, this coin is a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary things come in the smallest packages. And hey, if you enjoyed this journey into the world of pennies, I've got good news. There are thousands of other coins out there with similar hidden stories and life-changing potential. And if you want to uncover them before anyone else, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell icon so you never miss tips on spotting rare coins, understanding their value, and maybe even discovering your own accidental treasure. Remember, every coin tells a story. And sometimes, that story could be worth millions. So next time you grab some change, take a closer look. You never know what fortune might be hiding in your pocket. But hold on to your seats, because what if I told you that this very penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million? Yep, you heard me right. Today, we're diving into the fascinating, sometimes hilarious, and always intriguing world of the 1964 mint mark Lincoln penny. I'll be honest, this happened to my buddy Kevin. He was just grabbing change for a vending machine, found a 1964 penny tucked under his couch, and thought, hey, maybe I'll keep it as a souvenir. Fast forward a few years, and a collector tipped him off that it could be worth over $1 million. That's the magic hidden in coins we normally ignore. And that, my friends, is exactly what we're talking about today. We'll cover what makes this penny so valuable, how to spot the right ones, the fascinating history behind the mint mark, some crazy errors to look out for, and yes, how you might just stumble upon a fortune in your own pocket change. So grab your magnifying glass and a cup of coffee, because this is going to be fun. Let's rewind to 1964. The United States was in the midst of some big changes. The Beatles were taking over the world, the Civil Rights Act had just passed, and people were still marveling at the moon landing news a few years away. Amidst all of this, the U.S. Mint was busy producing Lincoln cents. The 1964 penny was struck at the Denver Mint. Unlike your everyday pennies, a few of these little guys became extremely rare due to low survival rates and top-grade condition scarcity. And when I say top grade, I mean coins that look like they were just minted yesterday. Here's a fun fact. Back in the 1960s, most people didn't care much about keeping coins pristine. They were in your pocket, jingling in your change, and rubbing against keys and other coins. That makes surviving near-perfect 1964 pennies ultra special. Okay, so let's break down the why behind the $1.6 million number. First, there's the mint mark. Coins from the Denver Mint carry a tiny D below Lincoln's bust. That little letter makes all the difference between an ordinary penny and a potential treasure. Second, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale called the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70. Most 1964 pennies you find are way down in the 50s or lower. But those rare ones that reach 65, 66 or higher? That's where the big money comes in. And finally, there's rarity and collector demand. Think about it. Only a few coins of this type survived in near-perfect condition, and collectors are literally willing to pay millions for them. Supply and demand, folks. It's economics with a side of adrenaline. Imagine going to a fast food drive-thru and pulling out a penny, expecting to get a soda, and the cashier hands you a check for $1.6 million instead. That's basically the fantasy coin collector's dream right there. Now, don't go digging through every jar of pennies expecting instant wealth. There are some tips you need to know. Check the condition: no scratches, no dents, no weird discoloration. This is where collectors get picky. Watch out for errors. Sometimes pennies have doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or other weird quirks that can push value even higher. I remember one time I found a penny that looked perfect in my change. I got excited, took it to a coin shop, and the guy said, "Congrats! You found a 1964D. That's worth about 2 cents. So yeah, not every shiny coin is a $1 million gem. But learning the details increases your odds big time. Let's talk numbers. The most famous 1964D pennies in top condition have been reported selling for around $1.6 million. Some less than perfect coins still fetch tens of thousands. That's enough to make even casual collectors start checking their spare change more carefully. The market for rare coins is always moving. Auctions, private sales, and collector networks are constantly shifting prices, making every penny hunt a potential thrill ride. Your spare change might just be hiding a fortune, but you've got to know what to look for. Keep an eye out for the D mint mark, handle coins carefully, and maybe even invest in a magnifying glass. You never know what gem is lurking in your pocket or old coin jar. If you love this dive into the 1964D Lincoln penny, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're all about uncovering hidden treasures, sharing tips on coins that could make you rich, and having a little fun along the way. And hey, if you find a $1 million penny, make sure to drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1950-60 mint mark Lincoln penny. You might think a penny is just a penny, right? Wrong. Some pennies are like the hidden VIPs of the coin world. They're the rock stars, the rare gems, the ones that make collectors weak in the knees. And trust me, the 1950-60 penny is right up there. So grab your favorite snack, sit back, and let's explore why this humble little coin can make someone's wallet explode, in a good way. Alright, let's start with a little history lesson, but don't worry, I'll keep it fun, I promise. The 1956 Lincoln penny was minted at the Denver Mint, which is why it proudly carries that little D under the date. It was part of the Lincoln Cent series, which has been around since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin series in U.S. history. And let's be honest, Abraham Lincoln has had a pretty solid resume. 16th president, preserved the Union, rocked the top hat, look better than anyone else in history. Now, millions of these pennies were minted in 1956. But here's the twist: just like with baseball cards, not all coins are created equal. Enter the magic of minting: errors, variations, and rare finds. Some coins, even from a seemingly normal batch, have quirks that make collectors reach for their wallets faster than you can say, "I found a penny!" You might be wondering, what makes the 1950-60 Lincoln penny so special? Well, it's a mix of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Coins that are in mint condition, meaning they look like they just came off the press, are the ones that can reach that $1.7 million market value. And we're not talking about just any scratches-free coin from your wallet. We're talking about coins that have been preserved almost perfectly for decades. Here's where the story gets fun. Imagine your grandpa's old coin collection tucked away in a dusty attic. You're bored one Sunday, flipping through coins like a casual Netflix binge, and you spot it. That little 1950-60 penny, shining as if it knew it was the star of the show. That's the kind of moment that makes history meet instant excitement. And yes, it actually happens more often than you might think, except usually people don't realize what they've found until they Google it frantically. Speaking of which, I had a personal experience with this. A few years back, I was cleaning out my childhood room and found an old tin of coins my dad had stashed away. Most of them were forgettable: 1970s quarters, 1980s nickels, maybe a few gum wrappers masquerading as coins. But then, bam! A shiny penny that looked oddly different from the others. I did the nerd thing and compared it online. And while it wasn't a 1950-60, I'll tell you, it was enough to make me spend the next 2 hours hyperventilating and Googling. How to sell rare pennies without being scammed. Moral of the story? Sometimes, treasure is hiding where you least expect it. Now, let's talk numbers, because this is where collectors' hearts start racing. In top condition, a 1950-60 penny has been reported to sell for as much as $1.7 million. Let that sink in. That's a lot of zeros for a coin you could easily overlook. But here's the secret: even if you don't have the perfect specimen, slightly lower grade coins can still be worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, depending on demand and rarity. The coin market is a wild mix of history, scarcity, and sheer collector obsession. And yes, it's as thrilling as it sounds. You might also hear about something called grading. Basically, this is a fancy way of evaluating the coin's condition. Professionals like PCGS or NGC will grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A 1950-60 penny in perfect uncirculated condition might score around 65 to 70. That's the type of coin that collectors fight over and the type that lands the $1 million price tag. The grading process can be nerve-wracking too. I've read stories of collectors holding their breath while sending coins in for grading, praying that tiny scratches or a bit of toning won't knock off critical points. It's like sending your baby to prom and hoping nobody steps on their shoes. Now, let's sprinkle in some humor here. Imagine trying to explain this to someone who doesn't care about coins. You're like, "Hey, I just found a 1950-60 Lincoln penny worth $1.7 million. And they respond, "Cool, so can I use it to buy coffee?" And you're standing there, trying not to cry, thinking, no, my friend, this penny is not just metal, it's a tiny time capsule, a piece of history, a potential life changer. But honestly, if it buys you coffee too, that's a bonus. Another fun fact about the 1950-60 penny is that it's often sought after not just for the value but for its place in history. Collectors love coins that tell a story. And what story does this penny tell? Post-World War II America, booming economy, mid-century design, and Abraham Lincoln smiling up at you from the coin like he's nodding and saying, "Hey, I've got your back on this one." If you're wondering how to spot one of these pennies, here's a casual tip. Check the mint mark carefully, under the date, and look for coins that are in pristine shape. Keep an eye out for unusual toning or subtle differences in the strike. And please do not, I repeat, do not clean it with toothpaste or sandpaper. That is the fastest way to turn a $1 million coin into a 50-cent regret. Seriously, I've seen people destroy coins trying to make them look shinier. Don't do it. Mother Nature is a better curator than you ever will be. The beauty of collecting coins like this is that it combines patience, knowledge, and a little luck. It's kind of like fishing. You can study all the techniques, know the best spots, and still sometimes catch nothing. But when you catch a big one, wow, it's unforgettable. And if your big one is a 1950-60 penny? Let's just say it's a story your grandkids will tell at dinner. Finally, if you're thinking, well, this is cool, but I don't have a rare 1950-60 penny in my pocket. Don't worry. You don't need $1 million coin to enjoy this hobby. Start small, learn the ropes, hunt for hidden gems in your change jar, and who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be the one making headlines with a coin no one expected. Alright friends, let's wrap this up. The 1950-60 Lincoln penny isn't just a piece of copper. It's history, it's excitement. It's the kind of coin that can turn a casual collector into a millionaire overnight, or at least make your heart skip a beat when you spot it. Remember, the magic is in the hunt, the story, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in something ordinary. So here's my challenge for you. Next time you're emptying your wallet or cleaning out an old drawer, look carefully at every penny. Check the date, check the mint mark, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find your own hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And if you love these kinds of stories, pennies worth millions, secrets of coin collecting, and insider tips that could change your life, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join the community of treasure hunters who never settle for ordinary coins, because who knows? Your next penny might just be the start of something amazing. You're rummaging through your old pennies, thinking you're about to find, well, just some old copper that's been sitting around since your grandma's time. And then, you spot it. A shiny little Lincoln penny, dated 1944. And not just any 1944 penny, my friends. This one has no mint mark. No D. No S. Just pure, unadulterated, straight from the mint Lincoln perfection. Now, before you start screaming and jumping on your couch, let me tell you why this seemingly ordinary penny could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $1.8 million. Yeah, you heard me right, over $1 million. And it all starts with a little thing called history, some accidental minting, and a lot of luck. Stick around because by the end of this video, not only will you know everything you need to identify this coin, but I'll also share a little personal story about the one penny that nearly changed my life. Spoiler alert, it involves a coffee spill and a heart-stopping moment of panic. So grab a snack, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's dive deep into the world of the 1944 no mint mark Lincoln penny. First, a little history lesson, but don't worry, I promise to keep it fun and not sound like a boring textbook. The year 1944 was a fascinating time in the United States. World War II was raging, soldiers were overseas, and everyone on the home front was pitching in for the war effort. And that included pennies. You see, prior to 1943, Lincoln pennies were made mostly of copper. But copper was needed for the war, tanks, bullets, planes, so in 1943, the U.S. Mint got creative. They made pennies out of zinc-coated steel. Fast forward to 1944. The war is still on, but now there's a surplus of copper coming back from recycled ammunition shells. The mint decides to return to copper pennies, but because the process was a little messy, and the minting system was overloaded, a small number of 1944 pennies ended up with no mint mark at all. Now, a mint mark is like a signature. It tells you where your coin was made. D for Denver, S for San Francisco. No mark? That's where the magic happens. That little blank space is what makes this penny one of the rarest and most valuable in existence. First, rarity. There are very few of these no mint mark 1944 pennies in existence. We're talking a tiny fraction of the millions of pennies minted that year. Collectors are obsessed with rarity because, let's face it, everyone wants to own something that practically nobody else can get their hands on. Second, historical significance. This coin isn't just metal, it's a piece of history. It's a tangible connection to a time when the world was in chaos, and yet life went on in the form of the little copper pennies you and I might have overlooked for decades. Third, condition. Like most collectibles, condition is everything. A penny in mint condition, with sharp details and minimal wear, is worth exponentially more than one that's been through countless pockets and vending machines. Finally, the thrill factor. People will pay big money for a story, for the thrill of owning something that's essentially a one-in-a-million find. And that's exactly what the 1944 no mint mark Lincoln penny offers: history, rarity, and a story worth millions. Okay, so now you're thinking, Rye, how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? Look for the mint mark. It will be located under the date. No D, no S. Just a clean, empty space. That's your first green light. Check the details. On these pennies, the lines on Lincoln's coat, the words, "In God We Trust," and the edges of the coin should be crisp. If it looks worn or corroded, it's still valuable, but maybe not million-dollar valuable. Get it professionally graded. This is critical. You don't want to take your coin to some random pawn shop and hope for the best. Companies like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, giving you the exact value in the market. Never clean your coin. I repeat, never. Cleaning can destroy its value completely. That little patina, those tiny imperfections, they're worth more than a shiny, polished penny could ever be. A few years ago, I was at a coffee shop, sipping my latte and mindlessly flipping through a handful of old coins I had just bought at a local flea market. Among the pennies, I noticed a 1944 penny with no mint mark. My heart literally skipped a beat. I picked it up, examined it with my phone flashlight, and I swear I felt my pulse in my fingertips. Now, here's where things got chaotic. My coffee cup got nudged, and I almost dropped my entire change jar onto the floor. Panic mode activated. I managed to save the penny, but not without spilling a little coffee on my hands. And yes, the coin almost went for a little swim. After a tense afternoon of research and a call to a local coin dealer, I learned I was holding one of these rare 1944 no-mint mark pennies. While mine wasn't perfect grade $1 million material, it was still an eye-opener. That's when I realized something. Treasure can be hiding in the most unexpected places. Your pocket change, that old jar under your couch, even your kid's piggy bank, it could all be worth something. Now, let's talk numbers, because who doesn't love numbers when they involve potential millions? The market for rare coins, especially ones like the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, is competitive. Auction houses, private collectors, and online marketplaces all compete for these rare finds. Recent sales have pushed prices as high as $1.8 million for top-grade examples. And let me tell you, people are willing to fight tooth and nail for one of these. Always check your old coin jars. Seriously, you never know what's hiding in there. Keep coins in a safe, dry place to avoid damage. Consider investing in grading if you think you have something valuable. It could make a huge difference in price. Network with other collectors. Sometimes the best advice comes from those who've been hunting pennies for decades. Time for some fun. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln is the only president to appear on a penny for more than a century? That's right, Lincoln's face has been on the penny since 1909. You could argue that he's the most consistent face in American currency history. Also, some collectors joke that owning a 1944 no-mint mark penny is like having a tiny superhero in your pocket. It's small, unassuming, but capable of making dreams come true, or at least buying a very nice vacation if you sell it. And if you're like me and enjoy quirky stories, there's a legend about a guy who found one of these pennies under his couch cushion while playing video games. He literally paused his game, screamed, and nearly threw his controller across the room. Moral of the story: check every nook and cranny in your house. So, what have we learned today? The 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a slice of history, a testament to human creativity during wartime, and yes, a potential life-changer for anyone lucky enough to find one. With a current market value of up to $1.8 million, it's one of the most sought-after coins in the world. But here's the thing. Finding a coin like this isn't just about luck, it's about knowledge. Knowing what to look for, knowing how to handle it, and knowing when to get professional advice. And of course, keeping a little humor along the way doesn't hurt either. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare pennies, if you've laughed a little, learned a little, and maybe even felt a little inspired to check your own coin jar, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and join us for more tips, strategies, and stories about coins that could be worth serious money. Who knows? The next $1 million penny might just be hiding in your pocket. And when you find it, you'll have the perfect story to tell, just like I do, coffee spills and all. Don't miss out on future treasure hunts. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and let's explore the fascinating, lucrative, and sometimes hilarious world of rare coins together. Your next big discovery could be just a jar of pennies away. But believe it or not, some ordinary-looking pennies have shocked collectors by selling for huge amounts of money. And today we're diving into one of the most surprising examples. The 1991 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that many people have spent without even thinking twice about it. Now here is the wild part. In the right condition, with the right characteristics, this humble little coin has been rumored to reach values around $1.1 million in the collector market. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single penny potentially worth more than $1 million. So before you grab that jar of coins and roll your eyes thinking it's just pocket change, you might want to stick around. Because today we're going to uncover what makes the 1991 Lincoln penny so interesting, why collectors hunt for it, how to spot valuable examples, and how one ordinary person could theoretically stumble upon a life-changing coin hiding in plain sight. And along the way, I'll share a personal story about the day I almost ignored a coin that turned out to be far more interesting than I expected. Trust me, after this video, you might never look at a penny the same way again. The story of the 1991 Lincoln penny actually begins decades earlier with the creation of the Lincoln cent itself. Back in 1909, the United States introduced the Lincoln penny to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first American coin to feature a real historical figure instead of symbolic imagery. The design quickly became iconic. On the front of the coin you see Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right. Above his head is the word Liberty. The year of minting sits to the right, and the phrase "In God We Trust" arches across the top. For decades this design stayed mostly the same. The reverse design did change over the years, but the front remained a familiar sight in millions of pockets across the country. Fast forward to 1991. Billions of pennies were produced that year. Most were minted in Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark below the date, but pennies produced in Philadelphia often have no mint mark at all. That is why collectors refer to them as the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln penny. Now, at first glance, that might not sound special. After all, millions were made. So why would collectors care about one specific penny from such a common year? The answer lies in condition, rarity within condition grades, and occasional minting errors that turn ordinary coins into collector treasures. Coin collectors use a grading scale to determine how well preserved a coin is. Coins that have circulated through everyday use tend to show scratches, dull color, and worn details. These coins are usually only worth face value, but coins that remain in near perfect condition are much rarer. These are called mint state coins. Imagine a coin that left the mint in 1991 and somehow avoided being used in everyday transactions. Maybe it stayed inside a mint roll. Maybe someone collected it immediately. Over time, that untouched condition can make the coin much more valuable to collectors who want the finest examples for their collections. Certain extremely high-grade examples of modern pennies can sell for shocking amounts of money. Collectors compete fiercely for coins graded at the very top of the scale because there are so few perfect ones available. But condition alone is only part of the story. Another factor that can skyrocket the value of a coin is a minting error. Minting errors happen during the coin production process. Maybe the die was slightly misaligned. Maybe a planchet was defective. Maybe a design detail was doubled or struck incorrectly. When these mistakes occur, the result can be a coin that looks slightly unusual. And collectors absolutely love unusual coins. Some of the most famous coin discoveries happened because someone noticed a small detail that looked a little different. For example, doubled letters, off-center strikes, or strange metal compositions can transform an ordinary coin into a rare collectible. Now imagine finding one of those rare variations on a 1991 Lincoln penny. Suddenly that 1-cent piece could become the star of a collector's collection. Let me tell you a quick story that perfectly illustrates this point. A few years ago, I was sorting through a big jar of coins that had been sitting on a shelf for ages. You know the kind. Every household seems to have one. It's usually filled with random pennies, nickels, and the occasional mystery button that somehow sneaks in there. Anyway, I started flipping through the pennies just out of curiosity. Most of them looked exactly the same. Nothing special at all. Then one coin caught my eye. The color looked brighter than the others, and the details seemed unusually sharp. At first I almost tossed it back into the jar. But something about it made me take a second look. That moment of curiosity turned into a deep dive into coin collecting. I started researching mint marks, minting errors, and grading standards. Now, that particular coin didn't turn me into a millionaire, unfortunately. If it had, I might be recording this video from a private island instead of my living room. But the experience taught me something important. Sometimes the most ordinary objects can hold surprising stories and unexpected value. Collectors searching for valuable examples usually examine several specific details. First, they check the mint mark area below the date. If there is no letter there, the coin came from the Philadelphia Mint. Next, they inspect the surface carefully. They look for unusual features such as doubled lettering, strange lines, or areas where the design appears slightly shifted. Then they evaluate the coin's overall condition. The sharper the details and the fewer the marks, the better the grade could be. Professional grading companies use powerful microscopes and strict standards to determine a coin's grade. Coins that receive extremely high grades can sometimes sell for impressive amounts at auctions, especially if collectors are competing for one of the finest known examples. and that's where those eye-popping headlines about million-dollar pennies often come from. Even if most 1991 pennies are worth just 1 cent. The possibility that a rare example could be hiding in circulation keeps collectors searching. It's like a treasure hunt that never really ends. Every handful of coins becomes a new opportunity to discover something unusual. And honestly, that sense of possibility is one of the reasons coin collecting remains such a popular hobby. It combines history, art, mystery, and a little bit of treasure hunting all in one. Think about it. Each coin passes through countless hands over the years. It travels through stores, banks, and pockets across the country. Every scratch and mark tells part of its journey, and every now and then, one of those coins turns out to be far more interesting than anyone expected. So if you ever come across a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it immediately. Compare it with photos of known varieties. You might just notice something that others overlooked, and who knows? That tiny copper coin sitting quietly in a coin jar could end up being the highlight of your collection. At the end of the day, the story of the 1991 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny reminds us of something fascinating. Incredible discoveries don't always come from buried treasure chests or secret vaults. Sometimes they come from the smallest, most ordinary places. A coin that most people wouldn't even bother picking up from the sidewalk could potentially hold surprising value in the collector world. Every pocket of change is a mystery waiting to be solved. Every old coin jar could contain a hidden gem. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or find a handful of pennies in a drawer, take a moment to look a little closer. You might not find $1 million coin tomorrow, but the thrill of the search is part of the fun. And occasionally, someone really does stumble upon an incredible discovery. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about more coins that could be worth serious money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We regularly explore rare pennies, surprising mint errors, and hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket right now. But here is the wild part. One small coin from 2007, something that might still be hiding in pocket change, coin jars, piggy banks, couch cushions, or that mysterious drawer everyone has in their kitchen, could potentially be worth up to $1.2 million in the right condition. And the coin we are talking about today is the 2007 Abraham Lincoln penny. Now before you roll your eyes and say, "Wait a minute, I have seen 1,000 of those," stay with me. Because while billions of these pennies were made, a tiny number have rare characteristics, minting errors, and collector demand that can turn a 1-cent coin into a life-changing treasure. Today we are going to explore the fascinating story of the 2007 Lincoln penny, what makes certain versions extremely valuable, how to spot one, and why collectors are willing to pay shocking amounts of money for the right coin. And along the way, I will also share a funny personal story about the day I almost spent a valuable coin on a vending machine snack. Yes, that almost happened. So grab your coffee, check your pocket change, and let's dive into one of the most surprising modern coin treasures hiding in plain sight. The 2007 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver. That is what the small letter D under the date stands for. The Denver Mint produced billions of pennies that year. In fact, more than 4 billion 2007 Lincoln cents were made. So at first glance, it seems impossible that any of them could be rare. But here is where things get interesting. Even though millions were produced, only a very tiny fraction were struck perfectly, preserved perfectly, or carry special mint errors that collectors love. Coin collectors care deeply about 3 main things. When those 3 factors come together, even a modern penny can become incredibly valuable. Now let's talk about condition first. Coins are graded on a scale from poor condition all the way up to something called mint state 70, which means a coin is essentially perfect. And when we say perfect, we mean no scratches, no wear, perfect color, perfect strike, and flawless surfaces. Pennies get dropped, scraped, stepped on, tossed into jars, dragged through washing machines, and occasionally glued to school projects. But once in a while, a coin survives in pristine condition. And when a modern coin like the 2007 Lincoln penny is graded at an extremely high mint state level, collectors go crazy trying to get one. Because there may only be a handful in existence that perfect. That scarcity creates competition. And competition creates big prices. Now let's talk about minting errors. This is where things get really exciting. During the minting process, machines strike coins at extremely high speed, thousands of coins every minute. And sometimes things go wrong. When they do, the result can be a rare and valuable error coin. Some possible errors on the 2007 Lincoln penny include doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. One of the most exciting is the double die error. That happens when the design of the coin is accidentally stamped twice, slightly offset. When you look closely, letters and numbers appear doubled. You might see it in the word Liberty, the date 2007, or the phrase "In God We Trust." Collectors absolutely love these. Another possible error is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly centered during the strike. Part of the design ends up missing, and the coin looks slightly shifted. Some off-center coins look so strange they almost seem fake, but they are actually very collectible. Then there are die cracks. These appear as raised lines across the coin caused by a cracked minting die. Collectors sometimes nickname dramatic die cracks lightning bolts, because they look like little lightning streaks across the coin. Now imagine combining a rare error with an extremely high mint state grade. That is where the big money comes in. Certain high-grade 2007 Lincoln pennies with unique features have been valued by collectors at astonishing amounts, with some estimates reaching as high as $1.2 million for a perfect example with exceptional rarity. That is the kind of coin collectors dream about. And the crazy part is that these coins started their life worth just 1 cent. Let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago I was digging through an old jar of coins my family had been saving for years. The big glass jar that slowly fills up with pennies, nickels, and random buttons that somehow sneak in. I dumped the entire thing onto the table and started sorting. Pennies here, nickels there, foreign coins in another pile. And suddenly I spotted a shiny penny that looked almost brand new. I thought, wow, this looks interesting. But then I made a terrible mistake. I almost used it in a vending machine to buy a bag of chips. Yes, I almost traded a potentially valuable collectible coin for barbecue-flavored potato chips. Thankfully, curiosity kicked in and I decided to look at it more carefully. Now, that particular coin did not turn out to be worth thousands or millions. But the experience taught me something important. Never ignore a coin just because it looks ordinary, because sometimes the ordinary ones hide the biggest surprises. Now let's talk about how you can check your own coins. Step 1 is simple. Look at the date. You want to find 2007. Step 2. Look just under the date. If you see a small letter D, that means it came from the Denver Mint. Step 3. Check the condition. Coins with minimal wear have a much better chance of being valuable. Step 4. Look closely for errors. Use a magnifying glass if possible. Check the letters. Check the numbers. Look for doubling, cracks, or unusual shapes. Step 5. Do not clean the coin. This is extremely important. Many people think cleaning a coin makes it more valuable. In reality, cleaning almost always reduces a coin's value. Collectors prefer coins in their natural condition, even if they look dark or old. Cleaning can scratch the surface and remove the original mint luster. So resist the urge to polish your pennies. Trust me, collectors will thank you. Now here is another surprising fact. Many valuable coins are discovered completely by accident. People find them in pocket change. At garage sales, inside old piggy banks. Or hidden in inherited coin collections. Some collectors even search through bank rolls of pennies hoping to find rare examples. It is like a treasure hunt that costs almost nothing to start, and once in a while, someone hits the jackpot. You are cleaning your house one weekend. You find an old coffee can filled with coins. You start sorting them just for fun, and suddenly you notice a bright copper penny from 2007 with a small D mint mark. You examine it carefully. The details are perfect. The coin looks flawless. Then you spot something unusual. A slight doubling in the lettering. Your heart starts racing. That moment of discovery is what drives collectors. The thrill, the possibility, the idea that treasure might be hiding in plain sight. And that is why coins like the 2007 Lincoln penny continue to fascinate collectors around the world. Could a 2007 Lincoln penny really be worth up to $1.2 million? For the vast majority of coins, The answer is no. Most are worth just a few cents. But a tiny number with the right condition, the right error, and the right collector demand can become incredibly valuable. But here's the crazy truth. Some ordinary-looking pennies have sold for life-changing amounts of money. And one of the most surprising examples is the 2060 mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. In extremely rare cases, certain versions of this coin have been connected to values reaching as high as $1.3 million. The same coin people throw in jars, drop under couch cushions, or ignore in parking lots. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2060 Lincoln penny. What makes it special, why collectors hunt for it, what rare errors to look for, and how an everyday coin can suddenly become a hidden treasure. By the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for in your own pocket change. And who knows, you might discover that the next coin you check could be worth a fortune. So grab a handful of pennies, sit back, and let's start the treasure hunt. The 2006 Lincoln penny was produced in massive numbers by the United States Mint. Billions of these coins were struck for everyday circulation. Most of them are still floating around today in cash registers, jars, and old piggy banks. The coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. This design has been used since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the back of the 2006 penny you'll see the Lincoln Memorial. This design was used from 1959 all the way through 2008 before it was replaced with newer reverse designs. Now here's where things get interesting. While millions of these coins look identical, a very small number contain minting errors, unusual characteristics, or extremely high-grade conditions that make collectors willing to pay serious money. And when collectors compete for a rare coin, the price can skyrocket. Let's talk about the D mint mark. If you look under the year on the front of the coin, you might see a tiny letter D. That letter means the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. The Denver facility produces billions of coins every year. But occasionally something unusual happens during the minting process. Machines strike coins at incredibly high speeds. Metal blanks move through presses, dies stamp designs onto them, and everything happens faster than you can blink. And sometimes, mistakes happen. Those mistakes are exactly what collectors love. One of the most exciting possibilities with the 2060 penny is a rare minting error. Errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or other unusual imperfections created during production. To most people these might look like damaged coins. To collectors they can look like treasure. For example, a double die occurs when the design of the coin is accidentally stamped twice at slightly different angles. This creates a shadow-like doubling effect on the letters or numbers. If you ever see the date, or the word Liberty appearing slightly doubled on a coin, that could be something worth investigating. Another error to watch for is an off-center strike. This happens when the metal blank is not perfectly aligned in the press when it gets struck. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing and the image appears shifted. Some off-center coins look pretty wild. Half the design might be missing while the other half looks perfectly normal. Collectors love these oddities. Then there are die cracks. Over time the metal dies used to strike coins begin to wear down. Sometimes they develop tiny cracks that transfer onto the coins themselves. These cracks appear as raised lines across the surface. Certain dramatic die cracks can become famous among collectors and increase a coin's value. Even if a 2060 penny has no minting errors at all, its condition can still play a huge role in its value. Coin collectors use a grading system to measure how well preserved a coin is. Coins that were heavily circulated tend to show scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. But occasionally a coin survives in pristine condition. These are known as mint state coins. A mint state coin looks almost exactly like it did the moment it left the mint. The surfaces are shiny, the details are sharp, and there are very few imperfections. High-grade coins are incredibly desirable because they are much harder to find. Imagine billions of pennies being used in everyday life. Most get scratched, dropped, or worn down over time. Only a tiny fraction remain in perfect condition. When collectors discover a nearly flawless example of a modern coin like the 2060 penny, they get very excited. That excitement can turn into serious bidding wars. And that's how some coins reach jaw-dropping values. Now let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old jar of coins I had been tossing spare change into for years. You know the kind. The jar that slowly fills up with random coins until it becomes too heavy to lift. I poured the entire thing onto the table and started sorting through it. Quarters on one side, nickels on another, pennies in a big pile. At first it felt like a boring chore. But then I remembered something I had read about rare pennies hiding in everyday change. So I started looking closer. I grabbed a magnifying glass and began checking dates and mint marks. Most of the coins were completely ordinary. But suddenly I noticed something strange on one of the pennies. The letters looked slightly doubled. My heart started beating a little faster. I spent the next hour comparing it to images online and researching every detail. In the end, it turned out not to be the super rare variety I was hoping for, but the excitement of that moment completely changed how I looked at pocket change. From that day on, every penny became a tiny mystery waiting to be solved, and that's exactly the thrill that coin collectors experience. Every coin could be the next big discovery. Now let's talk about why collectors sometimes connect coins like the 2060 penny with extremely high values such as $1.3 million. Most of the time, a typical circulated 2006 penny is worth exactly 1 cent, but when you combine 3 factors, the price can climb dramatically. First is rarity. If a coin has a rare error that only a few examples show, collectors will compete to own it. Second is condition. If the coin survives in near perfect mint state condition, its rarity becomes even more extreme. Third is demand. When multiple collectors want the same rare coin, auctions can become intense. Prices climb higher and higher until someone finally wins the bid. That combination of rarity, condition, and demand is what creates those unbelievable headlines about pennies worth hundreds of thousands or even millions. Now here's something important. You don't need expensive equipment to start checking your coins. A simple magnifying glass works great. Good lighting helps too. And of course, patience. Start by looking closely at the date and mint mark. Then examine the letters on the coin. Look for doubling, unusual shapes, or anything that looks different from a normal penny. Rotate the coin slowly and check the surface for cracks, bumps, or strange lines. Also pay attention to the color and shine. Coins that still have bright original luster might be in better condition than most circulating examples. And remember, sometimes the smallest detail can make the biggest difference. One tiny minting error can transform a common coin into a collector's prize. That's why people across the United States still check their change every day. Some search coin rolls from banks. Others dig through old collections passed down from family members. And occasionally someone makes an incredible discovery. Imagine finding a penny worth more than a sports car. It sounds crazy, but that's exactly what keeps the treasure hunt alive. Another fun part of coin collecting is learning the history behind the coins. The Lincoln penny itself was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Before that time, American coins rarely featured real historical figures. The Lincoln cent changed that tradition and quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Over the decades, the design has evolved, but Lincoln's portrait remains a constant symbol. Every penny you hold connects you to more than a century of American history. Pretty amazing for something worth just 1 cent, and who knows? Maybe the next rare coin discovery is sitting quietly in someone's pocket right now. Maybe it's even sitting in yours. The 2060 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might look ordinary at first glance. Millions of them were produced and most are worth exactly 1 cent, but hidden among those billions of coins could be rare varieties or exceptionally preserved examples that collectors are willing to pay serious money for. That's why checking your pocket change is more than just a habit for coin collectors. And sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. So tonight, before you toss your spare change into a jar or ignore that penny on the ground, take a closer look. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn about more coins that could be hiding incredible value, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're constantly uncovering amazing coin stories, rare mint errors, and valuable pocket change that could turn an ordinary day into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Hit the subscribe button, join our community of treasure hunters, and start checking every coin like it might be worth a fortune. Well, that is exactly the kind of story that has made coin collecting one of the most exciting treasure hunts in the world. And today we are diving into one of the most surprising coins people overlook every day, the 2015 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, a coin that many people have tossed into jars, piggy banks, couch cushions, and car cup holders could potentially hold a shocking value. And in some rare cases, collectors have paid enormous amounts of money for coins with the right condition and rare minting errors. So in today's video, we are going to explore everything about the mysterious 2015 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. What makes it special, why some collectors are paying serious money for it, the hidden errors that can turn a normal penny into a jackpot, and how you can check your own pocket change right after watching this video. And trust me, by the end of this video, you may never look at a penny the same way again. So grab your coffee, check your couch cushions later, and let's dive into the fascinating world of the 2015 Abraham Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909. It was first created to honor President Abraham Lincoln and became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. If you flip a modern penny over, you will see the Lincoln Shield design. That design started in 2010 and continues today. The 2015 Lincoln penny features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Union Shield on the back. But here's where things get interesting. Some 2015 pennies do not show a mint mark, and for people who are new to coin collecting, you might be wondering what a mint mark even is. A mint mark is a small letter that tells you where a coin was made. In the United States, common mint marks include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, for San Francisco, but sometimes you will find a coin with no mint mark at all. Many people immediately assume that means the coin is rare, and sometimes they are right. However, in most modern pennies, no mint mark simply means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. So if you have a 2015 penny with no mint mark, it was most likely made in Philadelphia. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, if millions of these were made, how could one be worth $1.4 million? Great question. The answer is simple: condition and mint errors. Let's talk about condition first. In coin collecting, the condition of a coin can dramatically change its value. A penny that has been scratched, worn, or damaged may only be worth 1 cent, but a penny that has been perfectly preserved, never circulated, and looks almost brand new could be worth much more to collectors. These coins are often graded by professional services and given ratings like MS65, MS67, or even higher. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes. Now imagine a coin that has survived in nearly perfect condition since the day it was minted. Collectors love those coins. They are like time capsules. But condition alone usually does not push a penny into the $1 million range. That is where mint errors enter the story. And this is where things get exciting. Mint errors happen during the coin production process. Sometimes the machines make mistakes. Sometimes the metal blanks are defective. Sometimes the dies used to stamp the coin have flaws. When that happens, a coin can come out looking different from every other coin. And collectors absolutely love unique coins. Let's talk about some of the most valuable types of errors that could appear on a 2015 Lincoln penny. The first one is a double die error. A double die happens when the design is accidentally stamped twice, slightly off alignment. This can cause letters and numbers to look double. If you look closely at the date or the words on the coin, you might see what looks like a shadow or duplicate outline. Collectors go crazy for strong double die errors. Another error to watch for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not perfectly centered during the stamping process. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing and the rest is shifted to one side. Sometimes these coins look pretty wild. You might see half of Lincoln's face and a big blank space on the other side. And yes, collectors pay serious money for dramatic off-center coins. Next up is the famous broad strike error. This occurs when the collar that normally holds the coin in shape during minting fails to hold it properly. The coin spreads out wider than normal and looks slightly larger. Broad strike pennies are very collectible. Another fascinating error is the clipped planchet. This happens when a metal blank is cut improperly, leaving a curved chunk missing from the coin. Imagine a penny that looks like someone took a bite out of it. That strange shape can actually make it very valuable. Now, Here is where the $1,000,000 dream comes into play. Most era coins sell for anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s depending on rarity and condition. But extremely rare combinations of perfect condition and dramatic minting errors can push values into jaw-dropping territory. Collectors are constantly searching for unique coins that no one else has. And sometimes bidding wars at auctions drive prices sky high. Now let me share a quick story with you. A few years ago, I was cleaning out an old jar of coins that had been sitting in my kitchen for years. You know the kind of jar. The one where every loose coin ends up. Pennies, nickels, random screws, maybe even a paperclip or two. As I poured the coins onto the table, I noticed one penny looked a little strange. At first I thought it was damaged. But when I grabbed a magnifying glass, I saw something interesting. The date looked slightly doubled. And my heart started beating faster. For a few minutes, I imagined I had discovered the rarest penny in history. I even started mentally planning what I would do if it was worth a fortune. Maybe buy a beach house. Maybe finally upgrade my ancient laptop. Maybe just buy a lifetime supply of pizza. But after doing some research, I realized it was just a minor machine doubling, not the rare double die I was hoping for. So sadly, my pizza empire never happened. But that moment taught me something important. You never know what you might find in everyday change, and that is exactly why coin collecting is so fun. It turns ordinary pocket change into a treasure hunt. Now let's talk about how you can check your own 2015 Lincoln pennies. Step 1 is simple. Look at the date. Make sure it says 2015. Step 2, check under the date for a mint mark. If there is no letter, that means it was made in Philadelphia. Step 3, use a magnifying glass or a phone camera with zoom. Look closely at the letters in Liberty and God We Trust and the numbers in the date. Check for doubling, strange shapes, or unusual spacing. Step 4, look at the overall shape of the coin. These little details can make a huge difference. Another important factor is color. Collectors often categorize pennies as red, red-brown, or brown depending on how well the copper color has been preserved. Bright red pennies that look brand new are usually more valuable. Brown pennies that have darkened over time are more common. So if you find a shiny red 2015 penny that looks almost untouched, that is definitely worth examining more closely. Now here is something interesting about modern coin collecting. Technology has made it easier than ever to check your coins. You can take a clear photo and compare it with images online. You can also send coins to professional grading companies that verify authenticity and assign an official grade. These grading companies seal the coin in a protective holder so collectors know exactly what they are buying. And yes, coins that receive extremely high grades can sell for shocking prices. But remember something important. Not every 2015 penny is valuable. In fact, most are still worth just 1 cent, but the thrill of the hunt keeps collectors searching. Every coin has the potential to be the next big discovery. Think about it this way. Some of the most valuable coins in history were discovered by accident. People found them in pocket change, coin rolls, or old collections. And that possibility keeps the excitement alive. Now imagine this scenario. You are paying for coffee tomorrow morning. The cashier hands you a few pennies. Instead of ignoring them, you take a closer look. One of them is a 2015 penny. It looks unusually shiny. You check the date. You check the lettering. And suddenly you notice something strange. That moment of curiosity is what makes coin collecting feel like a real-life treasure hunt. The 2015 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny may look like an ordinary coin. But under the right circumstances, with the right condition and the right minting error, it could become incredibly valuable. Some rare coins have reached astonishing values, with collectors paying massive amounts to own unique pieces of history. And while most pennies will always be worth just 1 cent, the possibility of discovering a hidden gem keeps collectors searching through jars, piggy banks, and pocket change every single day. So tonight, before you throw your coins into that jar on the counter, take a closer look. Check those dates. Look for mint marks. Grab a magnifying glass and examine the details. Because who knows, that tiny copper coin sitting in your hand might be worth far more than you ever imagined. But sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hide the most extraordinary secrets. Imagine paying for a cup of coffee, getting a penny in change, tossing it into a jar without thinking, and years later discovering that little copper coin could be worth up to $1.5 million. Today we are talking about one of those mysterious coins. The 1971 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. At first glance it looks like just another penny. Billions of pennies were made in 1971. Most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. Nothing special. But a very small number of these coins carry hidden characteristics, rare minting errors, and unusual conditions that collectors absolutely love. And when collectors love something, the price can explode. Some extremely rare examples of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny have been estimated to reach values approaching $1.5 million in perfect collector condition. So today we are going to explore everything about this fascinating coin. We will talk about why the 1971 penny was made, what makes some of them incredibly valuable, the rare errors that collectors search for, how to spot one, and why you should never ignore pennies in your pocket change again. And I will even share a funny personal story about the day I almost threw away a coin that turned out to be worth far more than I expected. So grab your coffee, check that coin jar sitting on the shelf, and let's dive into the hidden world of the 1971 Lincoln penny. Because your next penny might just change your life. The story behind the 1971 Lincoln penny. To understand why some 1971 pennies are valuable, we first need to go back in time. The Lincoln penny itself first appeared in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person. Before that, American coins mostly showed symbolic figures like Lady Liberty. But the Lincoln penny changed everything. It quickly became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. By 1971, the United States Mint was producing enormous numbers of pennies every year, because pennies were heavily used in daily transactions. Grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, everywhere. In 1971 alone, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. Coins from Philadelphia during this time typically had no mint mark. So if you see a 1971 penny without a small letter under the date, that means it was made in Philadelphia. Most of these coins are very common. But here is where things get interesting. Sometimes during the minting process, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Why some 1971 pennies are extremely valuable. Let's talk about the magic word in coin collecting. Coin errors are the secret treasure of the numismatic world. A minting error happens when something goes wrong during production. Maybe the metal blank shifts. Maybe the die is damaged. Maybe the design gets doubled. Whatever the cause, the result is a coin that looks different from normal coins. Collectors love these mistakes because they are rare and unique, and the rarer the mistake, the more valuable the coin becomes. Some of the most valuable 1971 no-mint mark pennies show errors such as double die errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and unusual strike conditions. These unusual features can make a simple penny worth hundreds, thousands, or in extremely rare cases, far more. The famous double die error, one of the most exciting errors collectors search for on the 1971 Lincoln penny, is the double die. A double die happens when the coin design is accidentally stamped twice slightly out of alignment during the die creation process. This creates a noticeable doubling effect on the letters or numbers. If you look closely at certain 1971 pennies, you might notice doubling on the word LIBRTY, the date 1971, the phrase "In God We Trust." When this doubling is strong and clearly visible, collectors become very interested, and prices can skyrocket depending on the coin's condition. Condition is everything. Now here is something that surprises many people. Two coins can be exactly the same year and design, but their value can be completely different. Coin collectors grade coins based on how well they have been preserved. A coin that has circulated for decades in pockets and vending machines will show scratches, wear, and discoloration. But sometimes a coin survives in nearly perfect condition. Maybe it was saved in a jar. Maybe it sat untouched in a collection. Coins that look almost brand new are called mint state coins. And the better the condition, the higher the value. That is why certain 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies in extremely high grades have been estimated to reach astonishing values approaching $1.5 million when combined with rare characteristics. A personal coin story. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago I was cleaning out an old drawer at home. You know the kind of drawer everyone has. The random stuff drawer. Pens that don't work anymore. Rubber bands. Mystery keys that nobody remembers. And at the back of the drawer was a small plastic bag filled with coins. I almost threw it away. Seriously, I thought it was just a bunch of worthless change. But curiosity got the better of me. So I poured the coins onto the table and started looking through them. Most were ordinary, but one penny looked different. The date caught my attention. The letters seemed slightly doubled. I grabbed a magnifying glass and took a closer look, and suddenly I realized something. This coin might actually be interesting. Now, unfortunately, it was not worth millions. But it did sell for far more than 1 cent, and that moment taught me something important. Never ignore small change. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. How to check your 1971 penny. So how can you check if your 1971 penny might be valuable? Here are a few simple steps. First, look at the date. Make sure it says 1971. Second, check under the date. If there is no small letter like D or S, then you have the no mint mark version from Philadelphia. Third, examine the coin carefully. Use a magnifying glass if possible. Look for doubling in the letters. Check whether the design looks slightly off-center. Look for cracks in the design or unusual shapes. Fourth, examine the condition. Coins with fewer scratches and sharper details are always more desirable. Why coin? Collectors love pennies. You might wonder why collectors care so much about pennies. After all, they are the smallest denomination. But pennies have a special place in coin collecting. They are affordable, widely available, and full of fascinating history. Every year tells a story. Different metals were used in different eras. Different mint marks show where coins were produced. And eras reveal the hidden side of the minting process. That is why collectors still search through pocket change today. Because every now and then, someone finds something amazing. Other valuable Lincoln pennies. The 1971 penny is not the only Lincoln coin worth money. Many other Lincoln cents have become legendary among collectors. Some famous examples include the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double-die penny, the 1969 double-die penny, the 1972 double-die penny. These coins have sold for incredible prices at auctions, and their stories inspire collectors to keep searching. The thrill of the hunt. Coin collecting is a bit like treasure hunting, except the treasure might be hiding in your couch cushions. Or in the jar on your kitchen counter. Or in the change you get from the grocery store. Every coin has the potential to surprise you. Most will be ordinary, but once in a while, you might find something extraordinary, and that possibility keeps collectors searching every day. Tips for protecting valuable coins. If you ever think you have found a valuable penny, do not clean it. Cleaning coins can actually reduce their value dramatically. Collectors prefer coins in their natural condition. Instead, store the coins safely in a protective holder. Avoid touching the surface too much, and consider having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. That way you can confirm whether your coin is truly rare. Why people ignore valuable coins. Here is something fascinating. Many valuable coins have been lost simply because people did not recognize them. Think about how many pennies pass through your hands every year. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Most people never look at them. They drop them into jars, leave them in drawers, or spend them without thinking. But collectors see coins differently. They look closely. They search for details. And sometimes those details lead to incredible discoveries. Imagine finding one. Just imagine the moment. You are sorting through a pile of old coins. Suddenly you notice a penny that looks slightly unusual. You examine it more closely. You compare it with photos online. Your heart starts beating faster. Could it really be one of the rare ones? Could that tiny coin actually be worth a fortune? That moment of possibility is what makes coin collecting so exciting. The 1971 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might look like an ordinary coin, but hidden within billions of pennies are rare varieties, minting errors, and perfectly preserved examples that collectors dream of finding. Some of these coins have been estimated to reach values approaching $1.5 million under the right. The same coin most people toss into jars, lose under couch cushions, or ignore completely. One of those pennies could be the 1973 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and collectors are constantly searching for it.so before you spend another penny. Before you dump that jar of change into a coin machine, you might want to take a very close look. Because the humble 1973 Lincoln cent could be hiding a small fortune. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story behind this coin, why it exists, what makes certain examples so valuable, the rare errors that collectors dream about, and how an ordinary-looking penny could potentially reach a market value of around $1.6 million in the right condition. We will also talk about how to check your own coins, what details to look for, and why collectors get so excited about this particular penny.so. Grab your coffee, sit back, and let's talk about one of the most surprising coins in American pocket change history. Gas prices were climbing. Rock music ruled the radio. People were watching movies like The Exorcist in packed theaters, and at the United States Mint, billions of pennies were being produced. Pennies were everywhere in the early 1970s. Vending machines used them. Kids collected them. Stores handed them out by the handful. Most people never thought twice about them. But hidden among the billions of ordinary coins were a few unusual ones. And those are the coins collectors dream about. The Lincoln penny design had already been around for decades. The front of the coin features Abraham Lincoln's portrait. The design was created by Victor David Brenner and first appeared in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the reverse side in 1973 you would see the classic wheat style had already been replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design. The coin shows the Lincoln Memorial building on the back, and if you look closely enough, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. It is one of the most detailed designs ever placed on a circulating coin. Now let us talk about the mint. Marks. In 1973 pennies were struck at three main mints. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark. Coins from San Francisco carry an S mint mark. But coins from Philadelphia had no mint mark at all. That means a 1973 penny without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia. And billions of them were made. So at first glance it sounds impossible that one could be worth serious money. But this is where things get interesting. In coin collecting, value is not only about rarity in numbers. It is about condition, errors, and unique characteristics. A normal worn 1973 penny might be worth just a few cents. But a perfect high-grade example with special characteristics can become extremely valuable. Collectors chase coins graded in pristine mint state condition. These coins show almost no wear. The surfaces are bright. The details are sharp. The color might be a beautiful deep red copper tone. And when coins reach extremely high grading levels, prices can explode. That is where some examples of the 1973 no-mint mark penny have reached astonishing valuations. Now let me tell you something funny about pennies. People treat them terribly. Pennies are dropped on sidewalks. They sit in cup holders with soda spills. They roll under car seats. They get tossed into jars with thousands of other coins. So finding one that survived 50 years in perfect condition is extremely rare. And rarity creates demand. I remember one day cleaning out an old drawer at home. Inside was a jar full of pennies. You know the kind. Every house seems to have one. The jar had probably been sitting there for years. I dumped the pennies onto the table and started flipping them over just for fun. My family thought I had completely lost my mind. They said, "Why are you staring at pennies like that?" But collectors know something most people do not. Sometimes treasure hides in plain sight. Now, sadly, I did not find $1 million penny that day. But I did find a few older wheat pennies and a nice copper coin from the 1960s. And that moment taught me something. Checking coins can actually be exciting, because you never really know what you might find. Now let us talk about errors. Errors are one of the biggest reasons a coin can become extremely valuable. When coins are produced at the mint, machines strike them thousands of times every hour, and occasionally something goes wrong. Those mistakes create error coins. Collectors love them. One possible error for the 1973 penny is the doubled die. This happens when the design is accidentally Stamped twice during the die creation process. The result can be noticeable doubling in the lettering or numbers. You might see doubling in the word Liberty. You might notice it in the date. Sometimes the letters appear slightly shifted or shadowed. Another interesting error involves off-center strikes. Imagine a penny where the design is not centered. Part of the coin might be blank. These coins instantly stand out and can be worth significant money depending on how dramatic the error is. There are also clipped planchets. That sounds complicated, but it simply means the metal blank was cut incorrectly before striking. So the coin might appear to have a curved piece missing. Again, collectors love these unusual shapes. Now here is something even more fascinating. The color of a penny matters greatly to collectors. Copper coins are often classified into three color categories. Brown, and full red pennies are the most valuable because they retain their original copper shine. Over time, copper darkens and turns brown. So a bright red penny from the 1970s is very rare. If a 1973 penny survived decades without losing that red color, collectors may pay serious money for it. And when that coin is also in near perfect condition, the value can skyrocket. That is how certain coins can reach shocking auction estimates. Now let us imagine something for a moment. You are at home. You dump out your pocket change after a long day. You see a penny dated 1973. Most people would ignore it. But now you know something different. You pick it up and examine it closely. No mint mark, nice shine, strong details. Suddenly your curiosity kicks in. Could this be something special? That simple moment is how many collectors start their journey. Now here is another personal moment I will never forget. A friend of mine once bought a small box of old coins at a garage sale. He paid about $20 for the whole box. Inside were random coins, foreign currency, and plenty of pennies. Later that night he began sorting through them. And guess what he found? An error coin worth several $100s. Not millions, unfortunately. But still a huge surprise for a $20 purchase. They move from pocket to pocket, city to city, generation to generation. Sometimes valuable coins end up in the most ordinary places. So the next time you receive change at a grocery store or gas station, take a quick look. You might discover something interesting. Now let us talk about grading. Professional grading companies examine coins under magnification. They evaluate surface quality, luster, strike strength, and preservation. Coins are then assigned grades on a numerical scale. The higher the number, the better the condition. Coins graded at extremely high levels can sell for dramatically higher prices. Collectors compete fiercely for the best examples. Auction houses often showcase these coins as centerpieces. And when bidding starts, prices can climb quickly. Imagine two collectors both trying to secure the finest known example of a 1973 penny. That competition alone can drive the value into extraordinary territory. It is a bit like art collectors competing for a rare painting. Except this artwork fits in your pocket. Now here is something important. Not every 1973 penny is worth huge money. Most are still worth only a few cents. But the possibility of rare varieties and exceptional condition keeps collectors searching. And that is part of the excitement. Coin collecting combines history, treasure hunting, and a bit of detective work. Who may have held it decades ago? Your penny might have traveled across the country. It might have bought candy in the 1970s. It might have been carried in someone's lucky coin pouch. And today it might be sitting in your hand. That connection to history is something collectors truly love. Another fun thing about pennies is that they are easy to start collecting. And a little patience goes a long way. Some collectors spend evenings searching through coin rolls from banks. Others search through jars of old change. It becomes a relaxing hobby. A treasure hunt you can do from your kitchen table. And every now and then someone finds something amazing. So let us recap what makes the 1973 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny so fascinating. It was produced in Philadelphia during a time when billions of pennies circulated across America. But rare high-grade examples, unique errors, and beautifully preserved red copper coins have captured the attention of collectors. Under the right circumstances, some have reached astonishing market estimates around $1.6 million. That means an ordinary-looking penny could theoretically change someone's life. We're diving into a coin story that's stranger than your grandma's secret cookie recipe and potentially a lot more profitable. Yes, I'm talking about the 1984 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, don't roll your eyes just yet. This tiny copper disc, which most people pass off as just another penny in their jar, could actually be worth a jaw-dropping $1.7 million in the right hands. Yeah, I said million, with an M. Imagine grabbing your morning coffee, digging into your pocket for some spare change, and pulling out a penny that could buy a small island. Or at least a very fancy car. Sounds like a fantasy, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this penny special, how to spot it, and maybe even where to start your own hunt for life-changing coins. And hey, if you love uncovering hidden treasures that could be hiding in your couch cushions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a penny, literally. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty. First, a little history lesson, but don't worry, I'll keep it painless. The 1984 Lincoln penny was minted as part of the Lincoln Cent series, which has been around since 1909. Abraham Lincoln's face has graced the penny for over a century, making him arguably the most famous president on a coin. Sorry, George Washington, you're a close second. Now, normally, pennies from the 1980s aren't exactly exciting. Most of them are just copper discs with a president's profile, destined for the laundry, the couch, or the bottom of your backpack. But the 1984 no-mint mark penny is the exception to that rule. Why? Because no-mint mark means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and in extremely rare circumstances, some of these coins were misprinted or possessed subtle differences that collectors drool over. Let me tell you a little secret. The reason this coin could fetch up to $1.7 million is not just because it's old or because Abe looks particularly charming on it. It's because of errors. Minting errors, to be exact. And in the coin world, errors are like gold. Or more accurately, they're like cash in your pocket that you didn't know was there. Some of the most coveted errors in the 1984 penny include double strikes, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, or weird variations in the lettering and date. Collectors spend hours examining coins under magnifying glasses, sometimes getting so close you'd think they're trying to read Abe's mind. And here's the kicker, even a slight misalignment can turn a penny worth 1 cent into a coin worth hundreds of thousands. Or even millions. Okay, so how do you spot one of these treasure pennies? Step 1. Always check your change. I know it sounds tedious, but think of it as an adventure. Step 2. Look at the date and mint mark. No mint mark? That's your first clue. Step 3. Examine the coin's surface for irregularities. If it looks slightly off, in a magical way, congratulations, you might have struck penny gold. Now, let me share a personal story. I remember digging through my old coin jar one Sunday morning, the kind of lazy morning where you're questioning life choices but secretly hoping to find a forgotten candy bar. I pulled out a 1984 penny, no mint mark, and immediately my heart skipped a beat. Was it the $1.7 million version? Not quite, but the excitement? Unmatched. I felt like Indiana Jones, except my treasure map was a couch and my whip was a magnifying glass. It's this thrill, the what-if factor, that keeps collectors like me digging, hunting, and occasionally hoarding pennies in the most unglamorous spots imaginable. Here's something funny about collecting. You start off thinking you just want to find a few coins worth a few dollars. And then, suddenly, your kitchen drawers look like a coin museum. I've personally developed a habit of checking every penny I get, even from vending machines. My friends joke that I could be a millionaire if I ever actually sell my finds. But hey, that's the dream, right? Back to the 1984 no mint mark penny. You might be wondering, why is it worth $1.7 million? Well, the value comes from a combination of rarity, collector demand, and the perfect storm of minting anomalies. Only a handful of these coins exist in pristine condition, making them incredibly rare and highly sought after. And in the coin world, rarity plus demand equals big money. But here's the trick, condition matters more than anything. A penny that's been cleaned, scratched, or damaged is worth pennies compared to one that's practically untouched from 1984. Collectors love that natural, unaltered look. And honestly, it's part of the fun. You're not just collecting coins, you're preserving a tiny piece of history, a tiny slice of 1980s Americana, complete with Lincoln's stoic gaze. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds amazing, but how often do people actually find one of these? Well, it's rare, no question. $1 million finds like this don't happen every day, but that's exactly why they're so exciting. And here's a little tip. Even if you don't find a 1984 no-mint mark penny worth $1 million, you might stumble upon other coins that are still incredibly valuable. The hunt itself is half the fun. And let's be honest, there's something wildly satisfying about holding a coin in your hand and knowing that it could change your life. You don't need a fancy inheritance or a lottery ticket. Sometimes the universe hands you a fortune disguised as a tiny copper circle. So, if you're serious about coin hunting, start small. Check your pockets, your drawers, your car console, your old jars. Even coins you think are worthless can hide secrets. And who knows, you might be the next person to find a 1984 penny that makes headlines. Alright, treasure hunters, let's wrap this up. The 1984 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. It's a symbol of patience, luck, and the thrill of discovery. And while finding one worth $1.7 million is incredibly rare, the excitement of searching and the stories you'll gather along the way? Priceless. So here's my challenge to you. Start paying attention to the pennies in your life. Inspect them, appreciate them, maybe even fall a little in love with Abe's timeless profile. You never know, your next spare change could be your ticket to $1 million story. And before you go diving into your coin jar, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're all about uncovering hidden coin treasures, sharing tips on spotting errors, and turning everyday change into real-life fortune. Hit that bell and join the hunt. You never know what penny could change your life. Thanks for watching, and remember, every coin has a story, but only a few have the power to rewrite your life. Keep searching, keep laughing, and keep those pennies close. But wait, it's a 1978 Lincoln penny, and, hold on to your hats, it has no mint mark. Yep, that tiny detail could be the difference between ordinary pocket change and a potential $1.8 million jackpot sitting in your hand. Stick around, because today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. We'll talk value, errors, hidden secrets, and yes, even some personal stories because, hey, coin hunting is more fun when it's human. And by the end, you might just start checking every penny you own a little more carefully. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln penny, as you probably know, has been around since 1909. Honest Abe on the front, wheat stalks on the back. Well, that was until 1959 when the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat. But the 1978 penny? It's firmly in the Lincoln Memorial era. For most people, a 1978 penny is just a penny. But here's the twist. The no-mint mark variety. Well, coins are stamped at different mints, like Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins from that era often had no mint mark, while Denver had a D and San Francisco an S. But the 1978 no mint mark penny is special because it's an anomaly. Some were misstruck or have subtle variations that make collectors go absolutely bananas. And when you combine rarity, historical interest, and collector demand, suddenly, a humble penny can fetch up to $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.80 million. So, how do you spot one of these rare pennies? First, check the mint mark, or lack of it. Look at the back of the coin. If it says nothing at all under the Lincoln Memorial, congratulations, you might be holding something extraordinary. But don't just stop there. Condition matters. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition can command astronomical prices, while a coin that's been through the wash a few times, well, let's just say it's better for your piggy bank than an auction. Here's where it gets really fun. There are collectors out there who specialize in error coins. These are coins that, due to a minting mistake, have doubled dies, off-center strikes, or other weird quirks. Believe it or not, some of the 1978 no-mint mark pennies have subtle errors that make them even more valuable. We're talking the kind of details only a seasoned collector, or someone with a magnifying glass and patience, would notice. Now, let's get a little personal. I remember one time, digging through my own loose change because, well, who actually rolls pennies anymore, right? I pulled out a 1978 penny, stared at it, and thought, looks normal enough. I tossed it aside, grabbed a soda, and a week later, my cousin, who's a coin nerd, came over and casually said, "Hey, did you know that 1978 no mint mark penny can be worth serious money?" My heart stopped. I grabbed the coin, looked again, and yep, no mint mark. I'll spare you the full panic attack story, but let's just say I double-checked every penny in my jar that day. Moral of the story: never underestimate the pennies hiding in your pocket change. Okay, let's talk market value. The top recorded sales for a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny can reach $1.8 million. But before you start imagining yourself on a private jet, remember, those sales are for coins in exceptional condition. Coins graded by top agencies like PCGS or NGC can fetch these eye-popping prices. The rest? Well, still valuable, but maybe more in the thousands or tens of thousands range. Still, not bad for a coin that cost 1 cent back in the day. Did you know that these rare pennies aren't just about the money? They're pieces of history. They tell a story about American minting in the late 70s, the subtle errors that slipped past quality control, and the obsession of collectors chasing perfection. Owning one is like holding a tiny piece of history in your hand. Plus, bragging rights, because who doesn't want to casually drop into conversation that their pocket change could buy a mansion? Now, for all my aspiring collectors out there, here's a little tip. When hunting for valuable pennies, check old jars, boxes, and yes, even couch cushions. Sometimes, the rarest finds aren't in sealed collector sets but hiding in plain sight. And don't clean them. Seriously, I know that shiny penny looks tempting, but cleaning can destroy value. Let it keep that natural patina. It's part of what makes collectors go wild. Another tip: learn the subtle details. The font of the numbers, the spacing of the letters, tiny imperfections on the surface. All of these can signal something extraordinary. And if you ever find one, get it professionally graded before selling. It's like authentication for art. Without it, even $1 million coin is just a shiny disc. And here's a little humor for you. I once joked that if I ever found a 1978 no-mint mark penny in my change, I'd quit my day job. Imagine cashing it in at auction, waving goodbye to my alarm clock forever. Okay, reality check. Probably not that simple. But hey, a coin worth $1.8 million in your pocket? Even dreaming about it makes laundry day a lot more exciting. So, let's wrap this up. The 1978 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny isn't just spare change. It's a rare, fascinating, and potentially life-changing piece of history. From spotting that elusive no-mint mark to understanding the subtle errors and appreciating the historical context, there's so much to explore. And maybe, just maybe, you've already got one sitting in your pocket or a jar at home. Remember the key tips: check every coin, look for errors, leave it uncleaned, and get it professionally graded if you think you've got a winner. Who knows? You might just hold a piece of history worth $1.80 million. And if you love this deep dive into rare Lincoln pennies, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stick around for more tips on coins worth serious money, hidden treasures in your change, and fun strategies for spotting the next rare find before anyone else does. After all, you never know, the coin in your pocket today could be tomorrow's $1 million secret. So, grab your magnifying glass, shake out that jar of coins, and happy hunting!